Yuri from the Straight Pipes here. Time to review the Insta 360 One X. We've had it for about a month. We've been using it in a bunch of videos. It's pretty cool. You can get a lot of fun stuff, but it's a lot of work. Before I start, here's a couple quick clips from the Insta 360. Here's me rollerblading in bullet time, so like the super slow motion stuff. Here's me not in super slow motion bullet time. And then we've got some car stuff, which kind of turns out okay. It's kind of wobbly. It's not the best for cars because you really need to get it far away. And then here's a cool clip of me wall climbing, rock climbing, bouldering with my buddy Connor. We tested it out. We tried a different one where we kind of went around. I'll talk more about all the troubles with filming each one a little bit later. The first thing that I like about this compared to the GoPro Fusion is it only takes one memory card. So if we turn it off, we can see that the memory card slot is right down here. And then we've got a battery right here. The GoPro Fusion takes two memory cards. I bought one right when it came out, but then it glitched out, so I returned it. I think one of the sensors was faulty, it was getting zebra stripes. And this is smaller and lighter, so like right away, it just makes life easier for hanging it off stuff. It doesn't wobble as much, and it's just easier to hold and carry. Next thing, the carrying case. So, you know, there's a lens on both sides. How are you going to protect it? Well, it's got this nice little bag right here. So both sides are covered. You can put it in the other way if you don't have a stick on it, but like, you know? But like being able to have it set up like this, very convenient. The next thing is it comes with this selfie stick, and it extends really far out. Look at that. Can't even fit that in frame, it's so far. And it's good because it paints itself out while you're recording video. It's designed for this, so like it looks like you're holding nothing in your hand while you're filming it, which is like perfect. Like you don't need to do any thinking. It's got like all the perfect accessories. But the next thing that kind of sucks is they're kind of backward on everything. I couldn't even get more than one battery or a charger. I got the stick. I wanted to get that football thing that they're throwing. I think it's called the drift cam, but they don't have that in stock yet. There's a couple snowboard mounts that I'm working on getting. My buddy Matt's been doing some snowboarding with it, and that looks pretty cool. But yeah, I think they're kind of backordered on stuff. Even on Amazon, it's hard to find. I've got an affiliate link below, so if you're gonna buy it from me, and then I get more free credits and I guess more Insta 360 stuff, which is pretty cool. The next thing I'm pleasantly surprised with is the user interface. So you click this button here, it'll turn on, and then you can just click here to cycle to your video, and then click to record. It's actually pretty easy. See the green light flashing when it's working, and you can connect it to your app, which is perfect. So it's the Insta 360 One X app, and for being what it is, it's like a really good interface. We've got like a social page right here. You can see other stuff cool people have done. You go to your album to see what you have, or you click this yellow button in the middle to see the camera live. So I can see exactly what it's filming right here. And you can reframe live, and then what you can also do is go to your camera. No, you need to go to your, sorry, it takes a little time to load, my phone is slow. Camera, and then you can see the clips that you filmed. You can click one, import it, and then once you've imported, you can see what's local on your phone. And then you can do some reframing from there. So say I go to this clip where we are filming cars. From here, I can, well, let me just delete my previous edits. I can change the aspect ratio, which is nice. So say I'm doing it for my Instagram, I would just go 16:9. And then if I hold down, I can go pivot point, so like set keyframes. If I hold down on something, then I've got Smart Track as well. So I can have it track the Volkswagen logo there on this car, which, you know, works better if you're moving the stick around, like holding it in your hand like I did for this rollerblading clip. But that's how that works. And if you want to delete your edit, you can just click the yellow thing and click delete. Or what my favorite thing to do is you hold down viewfinder, and then you can reframe with your hand, zooming in and out and panning, and it smooths it all out on the iPhone. On the Android, Jacob used it and it made everything choppy. So if you're an Android person, it might not be for you. You can also do it on the app on the computer, but it's like way more time consuming, and I really don't advise it. So, okay, I'll hold record. If I zoom out, and then I go into like planet Earth mode or whatever, and I can go forward, spin around to the other car, spin back and zoom out, zoom in again, zoom out, and slowly zoom in, and even if I'm a little choppy, it takes care of all that. So I let off, click the check mark in the top right corner, and I can go back and play it to see what it actually looks like. Check this out. And then you've got some music that comes with it, so I've got that playing in the background. And see how smooth it is? On Android, it made it choppier. And what's also cool is you couldn't do 24 frames a second. Okay, and then I'm gonna click, sorry, I forgot another cool thing. So if I go back this little edit right here, in the top right and click those dots, nope, not that one, the top arrow, and I can save to album and whatever. So then I can save it to my phone, put it on my computer, and it's pretty much the exact same quality, so you don't actually have to use your computer at all. But it is pretty time consuming on your phone, so you gotta be quick. You can trim stuff as well. Like if you go to this edit, you can also do, by clicking on the top edit button, you know, trim the beginning, trim the ending, which is like very useful for not, you know, wasting a whole bunch of time on like a 6-minute clip. And then what else I really like is that in the app, so here's us playing pool. So you can stabilize it so that it looks all the way around, and like north is always north or whatever, or you can stabilize it so it has direction lock. So if I click here to direction lock, it'll reset all the edits if I've done any, but when I play back, wherever I kind of pointed the camera, it'll always point. So like wherever this lens is pointing, it's always gonna do that. Which, you know, it's good for certain things. Because then like if I'm attached to the car and I'm going around the turns, if I'm doing the tracking mode, then all I have to do is just move slightly when I want to. But if I don't have direction lock on, when it's going around the bends, I need to turn with the car instead of just keeping my hand still to keep it straight from behind. You know what I'm saying? Which is like, you know, you'll figure it out. And then you can also adjust your EV settings. So if you film inside a car and you want outside to be exposed properly, you can do that through you can do it through here too, but then you get the preview on there. And then what's also cool is it didn't do 24 frames a second right when it came out. And recently they updated it to also shoot 24 frames a second, which is crazy because like, how often do tech companies actually listen to anything you tell them to do, right? So like, that's cool. Then the next thing is bullet time. So the way bullet time works, it's meant to like spin around and then it's always shooting whatever's coming this way here. I used it while rollerblading, so everything I pointed at, you know, it was sticking out of my arm and it was always pointing at me. And that made it look really cool. So it's like for slow-mo, like 100 frames a second. It comes with, let's see, got the box right here. This little string that you tie to the, I guess the quarter 20 thread or whatever it is. I'll test that out. But I'm waiting for like the bullet time stick and the drift thing. So there's like a drift football that you throw and then that does it in slow motion. You can pan around the cool stuff you pass by. So I also need to check that out. And then I guess back to filming cars with it. I found that filming cars, the car is too big for how far the stick gets out. I'll suction cup it to the car. You'll see that in the footage. And like it'll wobble a bit, right? So it's not the best for that, but like it is still kind of cool. But for like action sports, for like a single person, like this captures me the perfect size, but for a car is much bigger, so it's not the best. Then another thing you gotta worry about when you're framing stuff up is the stitch line. So if I film like this, you'll see my face will get like cut in half. You can see where it stitches the two lenses together. But if I film it like this, it's better. So if you're filming something that's close, you want the camera lens facing you. That's something you'll figure out. But it's not like the end of the world for a lot of stuff, because most stuff that you do, as long as you get a cool shot, everybody's happy. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I guess back to how much time it takes to film something and edit it, we tried to do this whole little Volkswagen GTI review with this. So like say we didn't have a third person and we wanted to film 2 cars. But like editing it takes so long, I feel like you need to film something, import it right away, which instead of doing wirelessly, I can do with this special cable that goes from iPhone to USB, which is pretty awesome, but it's like a rare cable. And then I gotta fill up my 128 gig iPhone or whatever it is pretty quick. But I think you gotta film it, transfer it right away, edit it, get it out while it's fresh, put it on your phone, and then transfer it to your computer. And I think if you're shooting not the lowest ISO, it does get pretty grainy and crappy fast. So I think you wanna shoot in like the best ISO you can. In low light, it's really hard. If you're moving in low light, it'll also blur because like, you know, you do this at high shutter speed, it's fine because whatever. But in low shutter speed, like the sensor is blurring. So if you want to move in something like with low light, you got to move very slowly so that when you frame up later, you don't see these jitters. Like, and I guess let's end it with breaking down some clips right now. So this rollerblade clip, it's me in normal mode, 24 frames a second, and I'm moving my arm all the way around. So after I do that, I try to track it just with the free look mode, and it's a little too hard because I'm moving too much. And then what I did instead was just track my sweater, my yellow sweater. And doing that, it followed through everything like perfectly, and it like stabilized on my head or stabilized on my arm. And like the app makes tracking stuff so much better, and it makes it possible. The next thing is this rollerblading bullet time. So what happened here was it just faced me, and I found that the coolest way to get an angle was move the camera near my rollerblades, farther away from my body, and then close in. Just a lot of movement made the bullet time thing a lot cooler. Next, for this car, you can see that it's bouncing around, but then you can look back, forth, frame it up. You don't get motion blur. You kind of have to add that in later in After Effects, so it does kind of like come out looking a little cheese sometimes. But you can do stuff that you usually can't do with like a GoPro. You can reframe. It's like, there's ways to be creative, but with cars it's hard because you can't just fit everything in with this stick, just because it doesn't like, it goes out pretty far, but not far enough for cars, and it's still wobbly. But it'll get the job done, but then it's a lot of work. Like, it's almost better to just use a GoPro sometimes. But a GoPro won't crop out its own stick. So that's where this comes in handy. And here's a clip of us in an airplane. So this is in economy, in the back. You can see we spin all the way around. Like, I don't think there's any other camera that you could get that angle with. So that's also like really cool there. And then here for bouldering, what I did is I went around my buddy Connor nice and slow so that there wasn't any like shutter jitter because it was so dark in there. That worked out pretty well, and I think one of the tricks there was to get like low and move around and everything, but like be slow about it. And then the other clip is me climbing, and I had him move the lens facing like whatever body part was getting to the next grip, hold, I don't know what it's called. And he moved to each one, and that was cool because then I could like adjust the framing a little bit, but it was like more dynamic. So it was like getting it there, and he didn't have to be perfect about framing it up because it's a 360 camera. And I didn't have to worry about the jitter because the lens was always kind of facing wherever it was going to face. So, you know, if I was doing this, then it would jitter. But if I just do this, it's fine. And I think that's pretty much it for the Insta360 review. Highly recommend. I've got that affiliate link below if you're looking to actually get one. Drawbacks are pretty much just that things take longer to do, but you get cool shots that you wouldn't get otherwise. You can get stuff alone and reframe later. So like, if you don't have the option to take the time to film while you're doing something, deal with that stuff later, which is like a big help sometimes, because sometimes you just don't have enough people. Compared to the GoPro Fusion, way lighter, smaller, one memory card, which is way better. There's pretty much nothing I liked about the Fusion more than I liked about this. Maybe the Fusion promo video I liked more. That got me really into 360 cameras. And yeah, would highly recommend. I'm trying to think what else. Oh, here's some footage of us in car drifting on an ice lake in Mercedes. That one was the first time we tested it out. And it was pretty cool. We used it inside so that we kept the horizon straight while we did turns, so you could see how much the car actually drifts around. And then here's a whole clip of me holding it out the back end covered in snow and then bringing it back in like nice and close to Jacob while he's driving. Like, there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with it, but it's a lot of work. It is gimmicky, but it's cooler than anything else right now. My brother was asking me about a GoPro 7. He's like, is the new GoPro 7 cool with stabilizer? I'm like, yeah, but check this out. Look at everything you can do. So now I got to get him one because like the GoPro's not even on his list anymore. But I still love GoPros. Don't get me wrong. All right, subscribe for more gear reviews. I'm going to do more of this, more activity stuff. Yeah, and follow Straight Pipes on YouTube too, because I do car reviews.